actually a rather reserved and quiet person.
We've done the thing.
We've done the thing. We did the stuff. We've been in it and out of it and through it and all up in it.
That's a lot of doing.
Ever going to meet Fran Drescher? I'm just not. Okay.
You fucking alien.
I knew that's not
I knew that was gonna happen. I've just been waiting for it.
online
Damn.
shuffleboard. You're gonna get your ass beat by my old cane having ass.
He just make eye contact with the family. Is like, I'm gonna shit on that.
Okay, we are good.
Awesome. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 9 of Morgan Foggy in the Coffee Lounge. I hope you're all having a good day or night or wherever you are. For any of our returning listeners or perhaps any new listeners who might just be tuning in, my name is Morgan, and my lifelong friend and I have been doing this series for a little while now. And he is here with me. His name is Foggy, the one and only Foggy LeBeau.
I'm Foggy LeBeau.
Yep, he's Foggy LeBeau. Don't forget it.
Yes.
But yes, we are here today, or I guess actually it's evening when we're recording this.
Mhm.
But at the moment, Foggy is live on Twitch. So if you would be interested in actually catching one of these live, then go check out his channel.
Yes.
We've been doing this the last couple times, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yes, absolutely. I think I would really be really good with us just continuing to do these live.
Yeah.
If you're interested in doing it. I know that not everybody has Spotify, you know. And so if we're able to, you know, continue doing these live and posting them on Spotify, well, that just means everybody gets included.
Yeah, honestly, I like that. I like that idea because I love recording them because it's very low pressure. It feels very, very casual, which is nice. But there's also something about doing it, like having these talks live, because you get the input from other people in real time.
Yeah.
And it's fun, even if we're not able to respond to all of them. It's fun to read and to see what people are saying about the topic.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so basically this stream/episode is going to be about relationships, specifically romantic relationships.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, they can be messy, they can be great, they can be greatly messy, but there's good parts, there's good sides, bad sides, there's ups and downs, and
Mountains
so
and
Foggy,
valleys.
yeah, and we're just going to talk about those and our own personal experiences within relationships, and just kind of talk and see where we wind up.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. Let's do it.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. So I guess I think it stands to reason that I should probably disclose I am married. So I have been yeah, anybody who doesn't know, I'm married to Sylvana Fox, that amazing Fox deity VTuber who is just the most beautiful and precious person I've ever met in my entire life.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. I have been married. I've been in a long-term, committed relationship with my partner Sylvana for a very long time, and I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon. So,
no, you guys' relationship is it's a very beautiful one. So I've known Foggy ever since we were toddlers. Like we've known each other since we were very, very tiny. And when we were basically I grew up in a different country, and when I had to go back over to that country, Foggy and I, we kind of fell out of touch because we were kids and we didn't have Discord back then,
Yeah,
or
there
like any way to
was.
keep in touch.
Yeah, there was no Discord. You know, I don't know if you ever knew this, but I wrote like just tons of letters to you that never apparently made it to you.
Oh no.
I really did.
I didn't know
wrote,
that actually.
Yes,
Did
yes.
you act really?
Yes, I wrote tons of letters, and I think you might have wrote me back one time, but I don't think anything else ever got through to you, like ever.
Wow. I mean, like we talked about this in the last coffee lounge, but yeah, my parents didn't really approve of our friendship. So
Yeah.
I wonder if that had anything to do with it.
Might have.
Was
I
this
don't
just
know.
a Harry Potter situation where like all the letters were just being ripped up and burned before I was able to get my hands on it?
Yeah. Yeah. Plus, you were living in the closet, so.
There was that too.
Oh my
But no,
gosh.
we were basically, because we grew up in different countries. When finally came back and we got back in touch with each other, I had no idea that he was even in a relationship, let alone married.
Mm-hmm.
And so we caught up. We made plans to actually meet up in person. And he was all like, "You gotta meet my wife still." And I was like, "Oh my, okay, yeah, sure. I didn't know you were married, but yeah, that's great. Let's do it." And so we did. Pretty sure we met at a gas station. And then
and then
yeah.
from there, we went to my parents' place.
Yeah, and immediately, like as soon as I saw him, I was like, "Whoa!" It's like I recognize you. I know who you are. But like in my head, I still saw you, like the both of us actually, as like the same kids.
Yeah,
like,
it
from
was the
last
same
time
for me.
we'd seen each other.
Yeah, it was the same for me. I was like, wow. It was crazy because it felt it so long had passed, but yet it didn't feel like it. Like it I felt the same. I guess the best word to use would probably be like kinship. Like
Yeah.
I felt the exact same kinship as the day you had left. And
No, I did
like
too.
I
was
felt it
surprised by it,
right
too.
away.
Yeah, and then Sil got out of the car, and we were like, "Hi, I'm Morgan. So good to finally meet you. I've heard a lot about you." And we hugged. We went back to Foggy's parents' place, and we played games. We just hung out and talked. We had food, and yeah, it was like no time had passed at all.
Mhm.
And then, unfortunately, time went by a little bit too quick, and then I had to leave. But
Mhm.
no, it was great. So, but all of this to say, like when I finally got back in touch with you and met Sil, like it was so obvious how much you guys cared about each other. And I was like, that I'm really happy. I'm really happy about this. Like I'm like they're really good together. They always take care about each other. And then you guys start telling me stories about your relationship and things you had helped each other through, things that the two of you had gone through. And I was like,
Mhm.
wow, that's insane. I'm really glad that you guys had each other through all
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, absolutely.
but-
And
Yeah.
a lot of people, when they ask me about Sylvie, I literally will just say she's my angel,
Mm.
because I don't have a better way to say, that she literally just saved me from falling, and like falling so deep into a pit of despair and just depression and anxiety and just all that stuff. She just swooped in like an angel and just saved me.
Mhm.
And so there's literally nothing that I can even like compare her to more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of a relationships episode, this might just turn into a praise Sylvie episode.
Well, I mean, honestly, there's enough good things to say about her that we might need more than one episode for that.
That's fair. No. But okay, enough about me. Let's talk about your status.
I'm a single Pringle.
Single Pringle.
Yep, a single Pringle. No, how many relationships have I been in? Not many. Like when it comes to relationships, I'm very so
I think it should also stand that we should probably be a little bit open about like sexuality or like orientation, I guess is the word. Because I am pansexual.
Mm-hmm.
And Morgan is strictly dickly.
Yep. Strictly dickly. Yep. My ex used to call me a stick with the dick, and he said that's also a good life motto. And I was like, you know what?
That
Okay,
is
cool.
hilarious, though. I love that. I'm gonna keep that. That is so funny. I'm gonna keep that in my pocket.
No,
my
yes, I am.
gosh.
I do be of the gay, and I am. I'm so the way that I experience attraction is I am demisexual.
Mhm.
So I actually didn't know this until actually I had to talk with Silvana about it, and she was the one who said who taught me the term and what it meant, and I was like, oh yeah, that actually describes me to a T. But basically, demisexual is when you don't experience attraction conventionally, like you're not attracted to somebody's appearance. You or like necessarily, I guess it is their personality, but you're only attracted to somebody after there's an emotional connection that's been formed with them. So in the gay world, this is not this does not always happen because there's kind of this stereotype around, I don't know if it's the same for gay women, but especially for gay men, about like if two gay men meet, they jump straight into bed together. And at least for where I live, that is very, very true. So actually being friends with somebody and then developing a legitimate friendship with each other, that's a bit harder,
right? Because
because
it's
at
like
least where I am.
Yeah, because it's like a a means to an end almost on their part sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like there's always a what's the word, like a motive behind why they want to be
there's always
friends.
this intention that where it's going to end in sex. And I feel like if you're going into something with an intention, then you're blindsiding yourself to so many other opportunities and options.
Right.
But yes, because of this, I have not because I'm demisexual, I have not had many relationships, but the ones that I have had have been long term and like very committed ones. I think my last relationship, I was with him for nearly 6 years, not quite 6 years.
You were with that partner when we got back in touch.
Yes, I was. And you were you got all the details about all the basically the downfall of that, but
yes, which we won't go into here, at least not in depth, but
right.
I do want to actually say this has nothing to do with the relationship aspect of it, but I thought it was really, really funny how you reacted to me not reacting to the fact that you were gay when we like reconnected.
No, I was when I was messaging you about that, because I told you that after you said that you were married. And I was because you asked like what's going on with me, and I was like I wasn't like shaking, but I was very nervous.
Yeah.
I think it was on Thanksgiving. I'm thinking about it because my partner and he and I were going over to his uncle's place or his
Mhm.
aunt and uncle's place for Thanksgiving dinner,
Mhm.
and then I was like, yeah, so I do be gay. And then he was like, "Oh, that's awesome. Okay, cool. Like, yeah, I've had lots of gay friends and all this." And then
Mhm.
uh it was so different. Like it wasn't what I was expecting. And so it kind of threw me
Mhm.
for a loop and I was like, "Wait, what? What? Like that's it? Like you're just fine with it?" Okay.
What
um
what what your boy Morgan didn't know is that I kind of fall that way sometimes.
sometimes, yep.
Yeah. Now I will say, here's the thing. Um, I have the thing for me, and because you talked about being demisexual, like for me to be able to be attracted to somebody, right? There has to be a certain degree of intelligence. And I don't just mean like, oh, you could solve the quadratic equation. Uh but what I really mean by that is more so like emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And the problem with that, and let me say for the record, this also is a very high standard I have for being attracted to a male. Um, the thing is like most men, at least that I've ever encountered, 99% of them have zero emotional intelligence. And that's just it is what it is. It having emotional intelligence is ridiculed in the United States. Um and so like
It's made out to be like a feminine quality.
right, well yeah, and not just that, but like it's just like there's no empathy anymore. And so like, and especially in men, there's no empathy. So when I find a man who has those qualities, it's very rare, but like I'm like, wow, this guy is hot.
Wow.
Um,
What's
but
funny is that I can actually imagine you just yelling that like when you see like someone
yeah,
passes you by and like you like you hear part of the conversation and they show emotional
it's
intelligence.
it,
I can
it,
I can imagine you. I can just see and hear you just yelling that at him.
I will say there's probably been about there's been a couple of guys in the world that like when I just saw them, like just saw them. Like for instance, there's like this one guy who was at the gym I used to go to, and he was just very conventionally attractive to look at. He was just really pretty. And so I was like, "Oh my, you are fine, boy." But like,
You are fine, boy. Oh no.
that Southern came out strong.
Yeah,
So you
it
are
did.
fine.
Damn, boy.
But like my issue with a lot of men is that they just don't have that emotional intelligence. And like I'll try to talk to him, not even like in obviously not in a flirty. I'm married, you know, first of all, but second of all, like I just can't even have a conversation to be friends with these people because like they're just like you can't have anything more than a skin deep conversation with them, and that completely turns me off to even the idea of being friends with them. You know, and so I'm just like, nah, no, I'm not gonna do that.
Well, I mean, if you like, I know things are separated. Like when it comes to relationships, there's friendships, there's family, there's romance.
Mhm.
But like if you're romantically attracted to somebody, it doesn't necessarily mean that like to be romantically attracted to somebody, like legitimately romantically attracted to somebody, they have to have qualities that you really appreciate.
Right.
And a lot of the most, like not all, but a lot of them, the most long-standing relationships that you see started out as friendships or
Yes.
something else before they developed into that. So it would make sense that the people you surround yourself with, including friends, would have some of those qualities. It doesn't mean like you're attracted to them, but they have qualities that you appreciate and you want to surround yourself with.
Right. No, yeah, that tracks. I mean, that makes sense. Oh goodness.
And then there's the people who always say like oh, guys and girls, they can't just be friends, which I feel like everybody who I've ever heard say that has proven themselves to be kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah. Those are those are the kind of people who like get really handsy in the bar, trying to like hit on a drunk girl, and like they touch them inappropriately, but you could tell clearly that the girl is like wasted. Those are the same kind of. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, those are the same kind. Those are the they give you the ick.
Yeah, they really do. Every time I hear that, I'm like, well, big red flag there, buddy. All right then.
Running with a giant red flag.
Yeah. I want to hide that. That thing is sticking out.
It is.
But so I kind of feel like you might be the person to go to when it comes to relationship advice. So just because you've been married for so long, and not only have you been married, but it's a very healthy and very beautiful marriage.
And I've noticed it more so the longer that I've been married. A lot of people ask me for tips and advice on how to make their relationships last longer, or how to, fix their damaged relationships. Like I really, I'm only just now thinking about it, but like I stay trying to help other people, or trying to solve people's problems, or trying to like give them some advice about relationships and stuff like that. Like I really do.
Yeah. I mean, so I was asked, there's one question that I was actually wanting to ask you, not only from a, like, let's say a relationship standpoint, but also like kind of like a psychological standpoint, because you also have experience with that.
Yeah.
Like this is what you studied. So the other day I was asked by a friend, basically they're interested in somebody, but this person has more or less ghosted them. But they are still very interested in this person, and they don't want to just cut them off. Like they don't want to just give up, is what they said. And they said that like it's like they're worried about this person to the point where they are having trouble sleeping, where they're constantly on, this person is constantly on their mind. And they kind of asked what do I do about this? Like, what would be the proper way to go about this? Should I call it quits? Should I cut it off? Should I wait and be patient, even though it's having this effect on me?
Yeah.
What would you tell that person? Because like I feel like it just depends on you. Like if you have that kind of emotional stamina to wait. Like is this having like do you feel like you can do this without it coming at a cost to you, like without it being a detriment on yourself? How would you go about talking like addressing that?
So if somebody was to ask me about that, like I think I would probably be a little bit concerned about that, because it's coming at out at a how do I say this? It seems like a mental health concern, really. Because the thing is like, you cannot force somebody to love you. You cannot force somebody to reciprocate feelings that you may have for them. And so, like, I'm not going to say you can't hold out for somebody to see if maybe it's just not the right time. but don't do it to the extent that you're causing yourself detrimental effects, to your own life. It's one of those things where, like, I would say, like, okay, excuse me. I would say, like, what have they said to you? Because, like, I would want to know what the conversation has been like already. Because I'd be like, have they shut the door completely? Like, I would want to know these things, because if they're like, look, I'm not interested in you, I do not have those feelings for you, I will never have those feelings for you, leave me alone, I don't want to pursue a romantic relationship with you. That's the end. Like, you need to back off, and if those feelings are still there, you need to reevaluate what's going on in your own brain and what's going on in your own life, because they have stated their feelings on the case. You know what I mean? And if that's that, that's that. Like, you don't need to sit there and torture yourself now. You don't need to be getting into all sorts of thinking traps and stuff like that. You need to learn how to move forward. That's what I would say. Now, if it's one of those things where, like, the person is like, kind of like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this, we don't really know each other like that, well, then that's a different story. Like, that's something to be like, okay, well, how can you essentially kind of make yourself more appealing? And I don't mean that in like a beauty standard way. Like, I don't mean like wear makeup, go to the gym and lose weight or anything like that. I just mean like
as a person.
Right, yeah, exactly. Like, how can you enhance their experience of being around you? That's a good way to say it. I like that. How can you enhance their experience of being around you? How can you make them be like, okay, I want to be around this person more. Let's start a friendship, or let's start a relationship. Let's go on a date. Let's see where things go. Like, that's a different story. Them being like, I don't know, like, I've never really thought about you that way. But maybe, kind of leaving that door open. But if they're like, no, I don't have those feelings for you, I'm not going to have those feelings for you, you need to stop. Well, then you need to stop.
Yeah, no, that's very clear. That's a boundary at that point.
Right.
if you break or cross that boundary, then you're just not a good person. You're not respecting them.
Agreed.
So yeah, I guess, in that case, it would all, like, if you're trying to make yourself a good person to be around, then it would just come down to, like, why you guys got together. Like what is the reason that you guys got together? Because if things start to change, because that does happen when in relationships, couples will get together, things will be great for a few months, even a few years, but people change, people grow. Sometimes they grow together, sometimes they grow apart. And sometimes life just takes you both down different paths, away from each other.
Absolutely.
And I, like, a lot of people that I've heard talk about this, some of them will talk about how they feel like it was a waste of their time. Like, if they weren't together forever, then it just wasn't worth it. And they're just never going to get that time back. But I've always felt like, if you were able to love somebody and they loved you back, then you've done one of the rarest things that could ever happen in this universe. Like, there are two conscious beings who saw something amazing in each other, and they decided to share themselves with this other person.
For sure.
And even if it didn't last forever, which is the goal, of course, even if you are to separate, that doesn't mean that your experiences are any less amazing and worthwhile. It just depends on why you guys got together. Like, what did you see in this person that made them worth investing in, and what did they see in you that made you worth investing in? Uh, I've I've heard, like, whenever people talk about advice, they for like dating advice. Um, One of the most common questions is how do I get somebody? Like, how do I find somebody who
Hmm.
is like this or like that? Uh, Basically, they have this image of the person they want, and they want to know how to get
Right.
them. Uh, when I feel like the more valuable thing to be asking is, how do I make myself somebody who is worth pursuing? Like,
Yes.
how do I make
Yes.
myself somebody who is worth dating? Like, if you were to look at yourself, like, if you were to come across yourself on the street, it's like, would you want to date yourself? Like, not looks, but the person
Hmm.
you are.
Hmm. No, 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 no. You're exactly right, because the thing is a lot of people, and this is just the truth of it, all right? A lot
Mhm.
of people are not okay being by themselves and being alone. And not you have to understand my words here. Not being lonely. There's a difference in being lonely and being alone. Okay?
Yeah.
There is nothing wrong with being alone. You should be able to be alone and be comfortable with yourself, be comfortable in your own skin, and be happy being you and being, you know, peaceful and content with yourself. Now, obviously, I do understand, and I'm one of these people that certain things get in the way. Depression, anxiety, uh,
Yeah.
excuse me. I understand that. I'm not talking about, the external factors that plague humanity. What I'm talking about is you should be searching for your own inner happiness. And once you find that happiness and you have it, right? You should be looking for somebody who can take your happiness and add it to theirs. And then you
Yeah.
can both be happy together. Do you see what I'm saying? You shouldn't be
Yeah.
looking for somebody to make you happy. You should already be happy with yourself. And that other person comes into your life and you be happy together. That's how, and I'm talking about an ideal world now. You have to understand what I'm saying, listeners. This is an ideal world. In an ideal world, you are happy with yourself. You are content with who you are as a person. And then you find somebody to share your happiness with. That's the goal. That's the goal.
Mhm.
That's the best way to say it. I'm sorry. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. I feel like if you're going to be in a relationship with somebody, they like, if you're happy being single, that's great. That's one of the best feelings in the world. It
Yes,
makes you feel free, it makes you feel independent.
absolutely.
It gives you so much time to invest in the things that make you happy. And so if you're going to invite somebody into your life, in some way, they should be enriching your life. They should have something to add to your life, but
Yes.
also you should be enriching their life somehow.
Yes. Yes. It can't
uh,
be an all take. It can't be a take scenario. It needs to
right.
be. It needs to be a give and take. It really does. I agree 100%.
Hmm. And uh, so when was this? This was a few weeks ago, maybe like about a month or so ago. Um, my sense of time is kind of messed up.
Hmm.
But I had a friend come and ask me. Well, he didn't necessarily ask me, but he was talking about how his his love life, like how his dating life, is just kind of non-existent. Like, he'll ask all these girls out. Like, he's got like dating profiles up, and he'll go on a few first dates, but it always ends there. And he's like, I don't understand why though. Like they tell me that I'm nice, that they uh like I don't think I did anything wrong. They didn't tell me that I did anything wrong. So like why can't I ever get like a second date? And um so I asked him questions. Like I feel like the best way to like help somebody work something out, like a good listener, just either says nothing or they ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't tell somebody what they should do or what they shouldn't do. You just ask questions and let them figure it out for themselves.
Yes. Agreed.
um but basically we found out, we kind of worked out that his first relationship he had ever been in, he gave 110%. Like he gave this person everything. But eventually when she broke up with him, it had this huge impact on him, and now he's kind of scared to give 100% to another person. So instead what he does is he gives like 30 or 40% to a lot of different people. He doesn't invest fully in one person, and so when he goes on these first dates, they can see that he's not invested.
He's not really interested.
Yeah, it's like if you're like, I'm here to be on a date, but I can see that you're not like you're not interested in actually forming something real.
Right.
Like you have
What
all
I'm
these other
putting out.
people. And yeah, exactly. It's like, I'm here to give 100%. You're here to only give like 30%. Like why would I, like what about that? It like
Is something that I want to
setting
pursue.
off. Right, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And the thing is like, and I've had this discussion multiple times with different people, but dating life nowadays is so much different than it was when Sylvie and I got together. And honestly, I am so glad that I don't have to be a part of that. Because the thing is like, as far as I can see, it's really tough out there. And like, I never had to deal with I'm probably gonna show my age a little bit, but I never had to deal with Tinder, for instance. Or any of those like apps. Like when I got with Sylvie, those apps were just kind of starting to take off. Like for instance, Tinder was not a thing at all. I believe the big app at the time was Hot or Not. Hot or Not. And like, so that was the big app that everybody was using, but like it wasn't like a crazy amount of people using it. And so,
what a name for an app.
Hot or Not. Isn't that mean? Like when you really think about it, that's such a mean. It really
is.
Like somebody's like hot, not, swipe left. Ugh.
Oh no, that's kind of brutal.
It is. It's brutal. But like I got with Sylvie before all of that stuff, and so I haven't had to deal with, basic. Here's how I'm gonna say this: I haven't had to deal with that generation of dating life.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, like, as far as that goes, excuse me, I really feel for the single people out there who do use that stuff, because from what people have showed, like single people I've met have showed me of their like specific Tinders, I'm like, bro, you should stop using this app if you want to find somebody.
Yeah,
you need to just go out the old-fashioned way, because these apps are not doing it for you, King.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree.
Or like, queen. I've had discussions with females too, where I'm like, nah, you just need to go out, with like the old fashioned way if you want to find somebody, because this stuff right here is just not it, man. It's not it.
Yeah. No, I agree too. Like, I know people who have gotten into long-term relationships because of apps, but personally, I don't use them, and like I feel like the only thing that is like the connecting factor between you two meeting or talking to each other is you both like the way the other looks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's gonna go like you don't know the person
Yeah.
until like they could be like, first of all, the catfishing is a thing.
Catfishing
Second
is
of
a
all,
thing. They could be a
if it's
serial killer.
online, yeah, exactly, and especially for women,
Yes,
you
it's
have to be
dangerous.
extremely careful. Like if you're gonna go and meet somebody in person, like you have to let people know where you're going. You have to make sure you have something on you can use to defend yourself in case it goes
Right.
south.
Right.
There's all these expectations about like, well, if a woman's going on a date, well, then obviously she's gonna sleep with the guy. There's all these factors.
I think
to
that a
consider
lot
that guys don't really have to.
Yeah, and I was just about to say that. I think that a lot of pressure is put on young women when it comes to like the dating apps and the like first date scenario. Like that's not to say that there isn't some stuff like socially that's put on men. Like for instance, like most of the time men are expected to pay for the whole first date. Which, hey, I'm not going to say this or that about that. But I will say like young women are very, very much expected to essentially perform, for their first date. And they're like expected to really shine essentially. And if things aren't perfect, well, then essentially there's just a lot of pressure put on them that I've seen, and it's a shame. It's a shame, really.
Yeah, it really is. Like it really, really is. Especially nowadays, like with as much progress as we have made, like socially, and especially when it comes to like gender equality, like we still got a ways to go. We still got quite a ways to go. But like nowadays, people still getting upset about who pays for dinner. Like that's such a stupid thing to get your panties in a wad about. And I'm talking about the guys too here, because if a woman tries to pay for both of their dinner, the guy's like, oh, well, no, I have to be the one, or else I'm not a man.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that specifically to like get on like to try to tear like any guys down. That's very much a societal thing that that guys are made to feel and to like wholeheartedly believe. It's like a societal brainwashing almost, specifically for men, and then obviously that happens with women too, just with different things. But I don't know, like with as much progress, you would think that wouldn't be as much of an issue.
Well, it's such a double-edged sword, and then like, but you also have the here's what I'll say about like some of the guys that I've talked to about things, right? Here were the struggles they were sharing, right? And these are straight guys, so they're dealing with women. A lot of them were talking about how they would go on a date, and the woman they were going on the date with would be like, "Oh, we're just going to the Cheesecake Factory. If you don't have money, just say you don't have money." Or, "Oh, you're only spending a minimum of $500 for your first date." It's another thing, and you can keep blaming society, because it's society and it's media that perpetuates these relationship stereotypes. The guy has to make a lot of money and be a player. The female, has to, I can't even like form words.
Present herself.
She has
in a
to
very
present
specific
and
way,
be,
or else she's failed.
and be perfect. Otherwise, she's a failure. And And it's just like, man, this is such a breeding ground for toxic relationships that, like, you know, they hook up or they, you know, get into a relationship for a very short amount of time, and then the slightest inconvenience and everybody's ready to just, well, pull out,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. No, I've absolutely seen that too. People, like, whenever you look at relationships in the media, like in shows or in books or movies, or basically any kind of media that's out there for young people to consume, it's always made out to be like, once you fall in love, you are constantly in the honeymoon phase of the relationship. That is the entire
Mhm.
relationship. In the honeymoon phase, like, that's where you're all like head over heels for each other, like the rose tinted glasses.
Yes.
Um, that only lasts for typically about 4 months. Um, and then once that wears off, you wake up to the next to the person, you're like, oh, you're still here. And then you're like, oh, well, I guess we're not in love. I gotta go find the right person again. It's like, I was
Yes.
wrong, you're not the one. And it's like, no, that's what people confuse for love is just a chemical reaction in your body.
Yeah.
um
Absolutely.
but I don't know, like, especially nowadays, like what you were saying with the dating apps, like, if you're not happy, like, if there is the slight inconvenience, you can just hop back on the app
Right.
and look for
Right.
somebody else. And
Yes.
this is especially true for gay guys, because there's this little app, some of you may have heard of it, called Grinder. And this place
Grinder.
is
Isn't that what I use to get my pepper on my plate? What is this?
yeah,
What is Grinder?
it
Explain
is
that.
also a metalworking tool that you can use to
Whoa.
file down metal. Yeah,
How
that's
how
what
how straight of you.
yeah, I know, all right.
Having a tool? That's very straight.
Oh my
Having
god.
a power tool? Wow.
No, there's this.
I'm sorry.
I swear to God.
I've always got to insert at least one joke in every
No,
single
that's actually
episode.
really funny. When you started talking about Grinder, I thought you were gonna say something like, Grinder, I hardly even know her. I don't know what I was expecting, but the pepper wasn't where I expected you to go.
Pepper Grinder.
Yeah. But no, Grinder is this quote unquote dating app that is actually just a hookup app for gay guys.
Mhm.
And I don't know, like, the dating world for gay people versus straight people, there's a lot of similarities, but there's also an entire culture for both of them, and they're very
Mhm.
different.
Mhm.
Like, in like for gay guys specifically, I mentioned this earlier, but if you are dating someone, that means, or if you're interested in somebody, there's this expectation that you're either going to sleep together, or there's going to be this sexual tension between you two until finally you do.
Right.
And then once you've done that, then you can move on to the dating part.
Mhm.
And there's I don't know why my mind be going fuzzy, but there's this kind of stereotype that gay guys are almost have these perfect bodies, like you have to be either a twink,
Yeah.
which is very very slim, youthful, hairless looking kind of body type for a gay guy.
Almost kind of femboy.
Yeah, kind of like that. And then there's your muscle, like your muscle gym rat kinds. And if you are not one of those, then you just don't fit into the gay society. You're very shunned.
Mhm.
Basically, you have to be conventionally attractive in some way, or else the gay community will just reject you. And that can be extremely isolating for a lot of guys, and as you can imagine, can be very isolating for their love lives and
Well,
just
and
friendships in general. Like,
you have to look
community
at you have to look at the hardships that gay people already face from straight people. Like, you already are ostracized in so many different communities, you know, just for the fact that you like the same, you know, you like the same sex as you.
Mm-hmm.
You like other men or you like other females, but you also have to deal with the fact that now you in your own community are now being ostracized because essentially you're ugly, at least by those standards, you know what I mean? And so like that's really tough, and like you said, that's isolating, and even more so than you know most gay people already feel.
Yeah, because like once if you're shunned by like straight people or like by your family, like but basically by people who don't share your same sexual orientation, then like that sucks already. But then you meet other gay people and you're like, oh well, they'll be able to relate to the things I've gone through, or like they know what this is like. And then it turns out because you're not conventionally attractive enough for them, they also shun you. Then you're like, well, what now? Like that I wasn't like I thought this was supposed to be like my community.
They hit you with a even like the worst thing they could say is no, and then they hit you with ew.
No, for real though, like, that happens so much. I don't know. It feels like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place in a lot of situations. I feel like women can probably relate to that kind of feeling a bit more than just like your like your run of the mill straight guy.
Yeah.
Because women are also made to feel that way.
Yes. 100%.
They're made to feel like you have to have the perfect body type, and if you don't, well, a guy's going to tell you that you need to go to the gym, and it's not because he wants you to look a certain way, it's because he's concerned about your health. He's like, well, I'm just there's this one time I was going to, I think it was a Panera with a friend. We're not friends anymore because of this situation, but we were walking out and these two women walked by, and they were both a bit bigger. They walked by, and then while they were still in earshot, he said loudly, he's like, man, they should really look into getting a gym membership.
Wow.
And like they looked over their shoulders, and like you could tell that they were hurt by it. You could see it on their face.
Yeah.
And then I looked at him and was like, what? Like, you did not just say that, right? Like, what? Excuse me? And then he's like, what? It's like, oh, I'm not trying to be hateful or anything. I'm just trying to help him. It's like, no, you're not. Like, you just want them to appeal to you and like sexually in some kind of way. It's like, no, I don't. It's like people who are that heavy or that weight, they can't be healthy. And it was like, you have no idea what's going on in their life. They could have just had a baby. They could be on some kind of medication that completely messed up their metabolism or like their weight retention.
Right. They could
have no idea.
Yeah, they could have a thyroid issue. There's all kinds of stuff that, you know, no, I 100% agree. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and it's like, and guys, well, like this is very common, especially with a lot of guys who have podcasts. Like you'll hear the whole thing. It was like, oh well, like she has to be like at least a 10 because if she's a 10, that means she takes care of her body and she's slim and she's beautiful and this and that, you know.
Guys,
like, no,
guys who have podcasts, you say.
Yeah, I know.
Interesting hypothesis. Proceed.
Yes. A lot of guys that you see out there.
I have people in my brain. I have dudes in my brain who I'm literally looking at right now. Mostly of the, you know, Tate variety. And the Paul variety.
Yep.
Those types of people.
I know of the kind of men of which you speak.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. They'll give this excuse as if they're looking out for women. Like they're looking out for their health. They're looking out for their well-being. It's like, no, you just want to live in a world where all everyone who you are attracted to appeals to your dick somehow.
Yeah. And
Like
and let me
this is a selfish thing. This
Yeah.
is not a selfless thing.
and let me say for the record for anybody who's listening, okay, this doesn't just involve like relationships or like sexual attraction, but there is a difference in being honest and speaking without thought in order to hurt somebody's feelings.
Yeah.
So a lot of people will be like, well, you know, they're just mad because I'm brutally honest. I don't care about your feelings. I'm going to say what I want to say because it's the truth. And it's always good to say the truth. Okay. But now what you're doing is when you're saying something, when you're like, oh my God, you're so fat, or you say some crazy bullshit like that, right? It's not needed. You're literally saying this to the person, even if it is true, right? Even if it is true, even if this person is overweight. That's just the example that's coming to my brain.
Yeah.
Even if it is true, you are speaking these words and saying this thing to hurt this person. It's malicious intent. You're saying this with malicious intent to hurt somebody's feelings.
Yeah.
Even if it is true, you are wrong.
Yeah. There was this I had a friend a few years ago. We kind of fell out of touch, so we don't really talk anymore. But when I first met her, she was your stereotypical pretty girl. Like she had really long blonde hair, very very slim, very toned. So like she was very
rockin'
conventionally.
bod.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
Smoking.
Yeah.
Like she was your very stereotypical, very pretty, slim, blonde supermodel kind of girl.
Sure.
She was miserable. She absolutely hated the routine that she had to do to get and have that kind of body.
Or to maintain it.
Yeah, and she had all the so she suffered with anxiety and really clinical depression. She had a lot of mental battles that she was constantly fighting.
Sure.
But she finally found a medication that helped with that so much. Like it regulated her the chemical imbalance in her brain that caused this specific kind of depression.
Sure.
And she became happy. And she was able to eat again. She got a healthy relationship with food because she was anorexic. So she was starving herself all the time.
Not the anorexia, the getting a healthy regimen of food. That's good. Yes, we love that. We love to see that.
Yeah, she said, I feel like I've gone through my entire life in black and white, and now because of this medication, I can breathe. The world feels brighter. I can see the color that's in the world. I'm excited to be alive. I'm excited to hang out with my friends. I'm excited to travel. I'm excited about my job. Like she had such a hunger and a passion for life.
We love that.
It was wonderful.
We love to see that.
But one of the big side effect of this medication is it caused her to gain weight.
Sure.
And when this started happening, her friends, her family, her at the time boyfriend, they became so angry with her. They said, like, you've let yourself go. You don't care about yourself anymore. Like, how could you do this to yourself? How could you do this to us? And they basically completely shunned her. And she was talking to me about this, and she said, this was again years ago. And she was talking to me about all this while it was happening. And she said, now that I'm finally happy, it's like people don't want me to be happy. They want me to go back to being miserable so that I fit
their mold,
this picture that they have of me in their head.
Yeah, I do also think it's funny, by the way, the double standard there. Oh man, a man puts on 30 pounds and immediately, oh, he's got the dad bod. He's looking good. He's got that dad bod going. But let a woman gain 5 pounds. Oh my God. She's disgusting now. She's let herself go. What a hog. What a cow. We need to have an intervention for her and make sure that she eats a Tic Tac every single day. Like,
Yep.
Oh my gosh, society is so gross.
Yeah. No, it really is. It really is.
Man,
It was sad, but I mean, hey, she's last I heard from her, she's doing great. Like
that's good.
she got in a good relationship. She's happy. I think she has a kid now, and yeah,
Oh
things are
yeah,
going really good for her.
glad to hear it. That's great.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But she was talking about how in her current relationship, how the guy he said, like, listen, you're happy. Uh, that's all that matters for me. I want you to be happy, even if it's not with me. Like your happiness is what I want for you. And like, she was telling me about her then fiance, and it just sounded great. The way that she talked about him, which I feel is
Hmm.
another way you can really tell how someone feels about you, is the way is how they're. You can tell how somebody feels about you the way they talk to you about you to their friends.
For sure.
If somebody's friends see you as a good person or they're excited to meet you, they know all this great stuff about you, it's because the person who they're learning about you from has been saying all this great stuff about you.
Gassing
If they
you
if they
up.
yeah, exactly. If they think that you're a horrible person, then uh it's same thing. It's because this person has been talking trash behind your back.
Or they're jealous. One of the two.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Awesome.
but for you, like if let me ask you this. For
Mhm.
you personally, what do you think is the most important factor in a relationship?
Mm.
Like
Uh,
if you were to give a couple advice, like to work on one thing specifically,
mhm.
that just to kind of like improve just like the overall or like the general relationship,
Right.
what would you tell them?
Well, I guess one thing you have to consider is that every situation is different, right? Obviously. So my advice would definitely uh, differ depending on what the situation was in their relationship. Like how um, I'm kind of looking at it from a therapist standpoint right now.
Mm,
Is like, was there cheating happening in the relationship, or are they just unhappy? Are they fighting a lot? Like, what's going on? You know what I mean? Is there some type of fundamental belief system that is killing their relationship because somebody believes one way and another person believes another way? Like, those are things you have to think about.
yeah.
You know, and just because you have feelings for another person doesn't necessarily mean that you are good together. You know what I mean? Like sometimes
Hmm.
things do get in the way, like beliefs and different religious stuff or whatever you want to put in that kind of category. It can make your relationship toxic, even if you care about the other person. Um, in your own way. But as a general consensus, if I was to like be talking to somebody and they're like, you know, the questions you just asked, um, there's like a lot of different things I think I would say. There's just like a couple of things that I know are always on the list. Number one is communication.
Hmm.
Um, that is probably the biggest thing that uh like me and Sylvie had to learn was how to communicate. It's not that we were unwilling to communicate. We wanted to communicate with each other. And I think this is a problem that a lot of young couples have, is that they don't know how to communicate because they were never taught. You
Yeah.
know, your whole life, well, your first couple of years of life, they teach you how to talk. And the next 15, 18 years of, or however many years of your life you're in school, they're doing nothing but telling you to shut up, stop talking.
Yeah.
And that is honestly really damaging. Um to the point that a lot of people, a lot of young couples don't know how to have conversations with each other. And, you know, for instance, like the only example I can use is me and Sylvie, you know, because obviously I'm in a relationship with Sylvie.
Right.
But at first, we didn't know each other's style. This is how I explain it. This is how I break it down. We didn't know each other's style of speaking. We didn't understand, like, something that I would say could possibly upset her. And I don't understand why this is upsetting you, because I'm just speaking how I speak. And now I've upset you. What's the matter? What? Oh, well, you understood what I said to be this, when actually what I meant by it was this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we couldn't break that down until having an argument. So now we've had an argument, but instead of like just staying mad or staying whatever at each other, we finally decide, okay, well, let's communicate effectively. Let's break it down Barney style and understand why you feel this way, why I feel this way, why I said, what I meant by what I said. You know what I'm saying? These things are fundamental with communication, because like I said, most young couples don't know how to communicate with each other because they don't understand how the other person speaks. And the only way you learn that is by spending time with one another, by being with each other. That's the only way. How are you going to learn how somebody else talks if you're not always talking to them?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about in text form. Text form is only so, you can only convey so much tone in text.
Yeah.
Emojis only work so well.
Mm-hmm. I absolutely agree with that.
So yeah, I mean,
arguments are like couples who learn how to argue but do it, like how to have arguments but constructive ones, how to resolve arguments, are usually the ones who last longest. Because I feel like when I was first dating, I always saw arguments as the thing you don't want to go through, the thing you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And so because of this, the both of us would because we both felt that way. And so the both of us, we would start to kind of like bottle it up. But we wouldn't actually express the things that were bothering us.
Sure.
And because of this,
you start to play kind of a game of relationship chicken almost, where you don't want to have that fight, but you both know that there needs to be some type of confrontation, essentially.
Yeah, like you start to build up almost like this, like a bit of resentment towards the other person, because you expect them, like, well, this is bothering me, and they should know that it bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
You expect them to be a mind reader, and like nobody's a mind reader. But eventually, if it goes on long enough, you start looking for excuses to let it out, to have a go at them. And but like as time has gone on, I've learned that arguments are not something to necessarily nobody wants to get into an argument. They're not fun. They're not pleasant for anybody. But arguments are not something to be avoided. They're learning opportunities for both of you. And it's like, hey, this thing happened. I didn't like this. I didn't appreciate this. This bothered me in this way. It's like, what can we do about this? It's like, tell me your side. Tell me your perspective. I'll tell you mine. And then, well, compare notes and figure out what we can do about it.
Resolve it.
Yeah. And couples who are able to resolve arguments like that, I feel like are the ones who always last the longest.
I agree. I agree.
So yeah, I like what you said about that though. Like arguments, it's a chance to get to know each other. It's not just you against your partner. It's you both against the problem.
The problem, exactly. And the thing is arguments don't have to be something where you're yelling and screaming at each other and throwing things. That's kind of stuff. That's not just you can still classify it as an argument if you want to, but what I'm saying is that is the result of really not understanding how the other person communicates. And so sometimes when we get frustrated because we don't understand, how to convey something, we instead turn to anger and we start lashing out because it's the only way we feel like we know how to convey how we're feeling. And unfortunately, that is not a constructive way to communicate.
Right.
So
And
it's
I like what you
possible
said
to
about
argue. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry. You finish what you were saying.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, so it's possible to argue with your significant other. It's possible to argue and still maintain a sense of dignity. You're not
Respect
you're
for
not
the other
belittling the other person. You're still respecting them. Mutual respect and understanding.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I definitely think there's a way to argue in a respectful way. And what I was going to say earlier is that you mentioned, like, once something has been bottled up for a long time, we tend to resort to anger.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that is very true, because when something has been repressed long enough, like there's because anger is a secondary emotion, right?
Yes.
So anger is often resorted to in order to protect ourselves from or to cover up vulnerable feelings that we're having, things that make us
Protect your
uncomfortable, or
ego.
things we don't want to face. Yeah, exactly.
Protect your ego. That's what it is.
Yes, exactly. It's often used as a defense mechanism. So, being able to just recognize that, like, because like once I learned this, and then I started to get into arguments with people, like romantic or friendships or otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
and I noticed I was starting to get angry. I'd be like, wait, like I would remind myself of that fact. I'm like, well, okay, what did they say that actually bothered me?
Right.
And like if you can ask yourself that, I feel like it can be very helpful for both of you, and avoid like this huge blow up that doesn't even need to happen.
Agreed. 100%. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with saying, you know what, before we talk, I need to cool down. Because right now I'm not thinking logically, and I might say something hurtful. And you can even communicate to your significant other, hey, I just need some time to cool off real quick, and collect my thoughts, and then we can have a discussion.
Yeah.
And if they have the same emotional intelligence as you do, they will respect that. And then you can have a nice civil discussion, with your partner.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something that my ex and I learned to do, because we weren't that way at the beginning, not at all.
Sure.
But as the years went on, we learned about this, and so it got to the point where if we started to have an argument and things started to get heated, like the both of us would, like one or the other, whoever recognized it first, would be like, I need to take a step back. Like I need to step away for a minute. I'm not running away from this. This is an issue. I do want to talk about it with you, but right now I'm a little bit heated and I need to go cool down for a bit.
Sure.
Can we talk about this in like 10, 15 minutes, an hour, however long you guys need?
Yeah. Exactly.
And when we were able to do that, and when we got back together and talked about it, it was so much more of a constructive conversation than it would have been otherwise.
I 100% agree. I agree. So yeah, that's the first thing. Communication. All that wrapping back around to saying, the first thing I would say is important to have a long-lasting relationship is communication.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2. Now, this one is something that I guess I'll have to explain a little bit more. But trust in general. Okay, you have to trust your partner. And that is a big, big thing that I've seen in today's society. Nobody can trust anybody anymore. And
Yep.
it is a very, I understand that it's a slippery slope. Having full trust, and then when somebody breaks that trust, it can hurt very badly.
Yeah.
But you know, this one's, it's really like, this is why I said I'm gonna have to explain it out, because it's such a broad category, I guess you could say, that I don't even know where to start, you know. Me and
Let me ask you. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. And then I'll have
I was just gonna say, like, I've built up such a trusting bond with Sylvie that, you know, I know that I can trust Sylvie with anything. I can trust her, you know, to tell me the truth when, you know, things are tough. I can trust her to tell me something as simple and silly as, like, hey, buddy, that shirt ain't working for you. Or something as serious as, like, hey, this person is not good for you. You know, something crazy like, you know, hey, I don't think, and obviously I'm just paraphrasing here, but like saying something like, you know, I don't trust this person. I don't think that they're, you know, a good friend for you to have. And the funny thing is I trust Sylvie's judgment enough that I'd be like, okay, well, I won't be friends with them now.
Yeah.
And that is the kind of trust you need to have.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. I feel like that's what people want. Like that's what people always talk about, like their ideal relationship looking like. Like, why do you feel like people aren't usually able or feel like they can't have that? Like, why is that such a fantasy, I guess, to a lot of people?
Well, I would definitely, you know, number one problem is media. That's like the biggest problem with relationships these days, is everything is on social media. You know, everything. It's all public. It's all out there for everybody to see. And people are just so guarded, and they've put up all these defensive walls because they don't want to be leaked on social media or something like that. Like, their whole life is on social media and out there on public display for everybody to see. And I don't see how you could possibly build a foundation of trust when you have that type of thing lurking over you like that.
Yeah, it's almost like this pressure for your relationship to be a performance almost.
Exactly. That's a good way to say. You're walking on eggshells with the society looking at you through a screen.
Yeah.
You're posting constantly, like, oh, look how happy we are. Oh, look what we're doing. We're living the life. We're at a party. You know what I mean? And constantly updating their status or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
I mean, social media is normally, when people post on social media, typically people post the highlights of their days or their weeks or of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And so all you see about this person is the good stuff, like all these amazing things that happen to them. And so when you see somebody like that, or like when you see somebody's social media and that's all you see about this person, that's all you know about them, you start to think, well, this person is always happy. This person is always having these amazing things happen to them. They're constantly traveling. They have this beautiful house.
They're
beautiful
living
partner.
they're living
This-
the life.
Right. It's like, why can't I have that? Am I doing something wrong? I need to model myself after this person so that I can also have that stuff, even if it's not necessarily like
So
coming
that-
naturally to me, or like these things don't make me
Yeah.
happy. I
So
want
that
what they
I can
have.
be happy. Exactly. Exactly what I was going to say. So that I can be happy.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I do think that you kind of hit the nail on the head. Is before social media was as big as it is now, relationships, they like there were still expectations for
Mhm.
people, like when it comes to relationships, but people were given a lot more liberty to be the kind of person that they truly were, like in the relationship. They didn't, it felt much less performative, and it felt much more genuine because you didn't have all these eyes on you.
Mhm. No, 100%. You know, and
Yeah.
I've noticed ever since, like, as far as like personal, like my personal life, not as foggy. Ever since I've stopped, and I have legitimately stopped pretty much all social media in my personal life. Like, I just have. And ever since then, I have felt such, and this has been a couple of years now since I've stopped doing that. Gosh, I just, like me and Sylvie, as far as like our trust and like all of that stuff, is just stronger than ever. And our relationship is stronger than ever. And I'm not completely like, you know, saying that's because I'm not on social media. I'm not saying that. But I am saying I have noticed that I haven't felt the pressure to be like, oh, I need to update a status. We're going to the Grand Canyon. Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Like, no, I don't have to do that. And not having that pressure to let other people know what we're doing is great.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Would you say that jealousy is a trust issue?
Yes. I guess it depends. Because, for instance, like, how do I say this? Sylvie is jealous in a sense, not like jealous, like mean to me, but like in a way of like, he's mine, leave him alone.
Territorial.
Yeah. Yes, Sylvie is not like bad jealous. It's good jealous.
Yeah.
But being like, you know, let me go through your phone. I need to look at all of the messages you've ever sent anyone at any time. And this person isn't your mom. Who is this female? Like, or this person isn't your, you know, this person isn't your brother. Who is he? That kind of stuff is definitely toxic. It's definitely a breach of trust.
Like I said, they don't trust you. They're not like, they feel like if your partner constantly feels like you're cheating on them, that's
obviously
like, that's
an issue of
for
trust.
either of you.
easily an issue of they don't trust you to be loyal, and obviously that does come from past traumas most of the time.
Yeah.
But not all the time. Like sometimes people are just distrustful.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you haven't given them a reason to not trust you. Here's a funny thing. I will lay my phone out, open, unlocked. I'll put my phone in Sylvie's face. Hey, do you want to look through my phone? Like, I don't care. I do not care. And you know what's funny? Sylvie doesn't care if I look through her phone either. And I don't think I've ever looked through Sylvie's text messages. I don't have to, because I trust her.
Yep. I remember when I first started dating somebody, I didn't have what you call it, a password or like a lock on my phone, so anyone could just open it up and get in.
Mm-hmm.
But I got a text message, and I was in the shower, and the guy let me know that I got a message from so and so, and I asked him, "Is like, hey, can you read it for me?" And then he did, and then I said, "Okay, can you respond with this?" And he was like, "Really?" Like, yeah, like, is that okay? Like, do you mind doing that?
Oh yeah, me and
sure.
Sylvie do
It's
that
just
all
like,
the time.
It blew his mind, because he was like, well, I'm not used to people letting me like actually go into the phone and do something. And I was like, oh, I don't care. He was like, I don't have anything to hide. I don't have anything to hide. Like, you see those, have you seen those challenges before, like on TikTok or YouTube, where there's these street interviewer people?
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's
Open
like,
up
okay,
your
like swap
phone.
phones and give them to your partner and let them go through it. And you can see once like some couples are like, yeah, sure, no problem. Like, we have no problem with that, and so they do it and everything's fine. But sometimes if there's hesitation or like, oh, you see the person start to sweat.
Was like, yeah, I saw one where like the female was like, oh no, my phone died. And the guy was like, what? I just saw you unlock it. Or like, I just saw you lock the phone. Like, I was like, oh man, that's tough. Yeah.
If you don't have anything to hide, then like there's no problem with being like, there's no need to be nervous.
No. Oh man.
But no.
Yeah.
I do agree with what you said earlier, though. Like how sometimes jealousy or like mistrust, that can be something that they've kind of brought from a past relationship.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like they've been either like traumatized, or they had this really bad experience with like an ex-partner.
Yep. It's called baggage, my friend. It's called baggage.
Yeah.
And everybody has baggage.
For sure. It's you got to work on your own baggage. You don't want to put like just dump that on somebody else to handle, because they have their own stuff they're dealing with.
Sure.
But what I've kind of learned about not everybody, but with some people, people who have trust issues, it's not that they are mistrusting of other people, it's that they're mistrusting of themselves. Because for like a little while after I got out of my most recent relationship, I thought things were good for the longest time, like in this relationship. But once I got out, I saw how messed up a lot of things were that I was just completely blind to, because I was so close to him, and I didn't see a lot of the issues that had been right in front of me.
The
and
red
everyone
flags.
Else saw.
Yeah, the red flags.
I was so close to it. Once I stepped away and was out of it, I could see things for what they were.
Oh, we discussed. I remember.
Yeah, and so once I realized that, I was very cautious about trusting people, because it's like, well, I messed up that badly with this person, I might do it again. So I didn't trust myself to make good choices when it came to like trusting people. And so that made me very guarded around a lot of people, and some of them noticed it. It's like, what's going on? It's like, this, you're not usually like this. like did something happen? And that's something that, again, therapy.
Sure. Yeah.
But yes,
no, absolutely.
Deal with your own baggage. Don't just throw that on your partner. Like, if you're getting into a relationship because you don't want to be alone, or because if you're relying on somebody else to make you happy, if that person leaves, then
you are left with nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Like, be your own source of happiness. Be your own individual. the best thing that I can tell people to do, the thing that's helped me the most, is treat myself like I treat myself like I'm dating myself. So like I'll go out to eat on my own. I'll go on walks. I'll do like
Yes.
this might sound cringy or a bit weird to people, but I go on like quote unquote dates on my own, and it's fun.
I don't
It's
think it's
great.
cringy at
It's a
all.
lot of yeah. And it's definitely made me a lot happier, and it's just good. It's nice.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, I recommend those things. I actually no, I 100% am behind that. Like, do those things. Do the things that you would want either A, somebody to do for you, or that you think you should do with somebody else for yourself. Do that.
Yeah.
Do those things. Because
See,
you can be happy by yourself. You can.
Yeah.
It's possible. I know it doesn't seem like it in today's day and age, but you can.
yeah. Like there's so much pressure on people. They say if you're single, you're failing. Like that's
Right.
not the case.
That is
like
not the
if
case.
you're single, then you're single. Like you don't. There's not a rule. Like when you were born, you didn't sign some papers that said, "Well, I agree to be in a relationship at this point. I agree to have this many, like 2.5 children by this point in my life." Is like
Mhm.
no. Like there's no right way to go through life. Obviously, if you're hurting people, and that's wrong. But like there's no like people go on dates to get to know the other person better. Like it's a chance to get to know them, to learn who they are, and see if you're compatible with them. Since I've started going like on quote unquote dates on my own, like with me, I've gotten to know myself more.
Think about that.
It works. It works both ways.
Yeah.
You can get to know like when you go on dates with your partner or like an interest, a suitor, then you get to know them, and it works the same way with yourself. It's so incredibly helpful, and I'd absolutely recommend other people do this.
Yes. Well, I only have 3 more things to say. 3 more things. Okay. And then, I think we're good to wrap it up, honestly.
Yeah.
Number 1. Okay. Never stop dating your partner. If you are with your partner, if you're with somebody, right? Never stop chasing your partner. Never stop making them feel wanted. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because they need to know it's just as important. Everybody is always after this gratification of, I need to know that somebody else, I need to know that my partner wants me. I. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you're in a relationship, it needs to be about them. And for them, it needs to be about you. Okay? So you never stop chasing the other person.
Yeah.
You always let them know how wanted they are. Like basically everything that you want from them, give it to them. Because when you give it to them and they're the right person, they will give it to you.
No, absolutely. It's be the kind of partner you want.
Exactly. If your partner likes, I don't know, video games, I don't know. I don't have anything. I'm just talking about my relationships.
Yeah.
Do the thing that be the thing they like. Just, you know what I'm trying to say, right? That quality time that makes them feel loved, do that. Even if you don't like it, even if it doesn't interest you, The fact that it makes them happy should be enough to satisfy you. And hey,
Yeah.
if that thing is they like getting snuggled up and watching movies and doing nothing else, well, hell yeah, it's snuggle time, isn't it? So that's number one. You know, that's the first thing. Number two that I would say is very important is never go to bed angry with the other person, and never publicize your issues.
Yeah.
If you two are having issues, that is between you and your partner, and it needs to stay between you and your partner. Not you and your partner and your best friend, not you and your partner and her mom, not any of you and her, you and him, you and them, whatever the case is. You and your partner are the only two people who need to be involved in what is going on between the two of you.
Maybe a therapist if it gets to that point.
If you, okay, I'm speaking of people who are filling the other boxes, right? So I'm speaking of people who can communicate effectively and who are having those
Gotcha.
those respectful, mutual respect and understanding type conversations. Not the people who are screaming and throwing things at each other. Those they need to go to therapy. Yes, that is true. A therapist if it gets to that point. But I'm talking about people who are in their healthy relationships.
Okay, gotcha.
But people who are in a healthy relationship, no, they don't need to involve anybody else in their business. Nobody else needs to know about their business. And number two, don't go to bed angry with the other person. If you have a problem, solve it. Solve it. I am telling you, you will sleep better. You will have less stress. You are not going to have a bad day the next day. At least not in your relationship. If you can just solve what the issue is then and there.
Yeah.
I can't tell you, how many late nights where it's been late and me and Sylvie are talking and we are doing the thing. We're trying to communicate effectively and stuff like that. And it's been a late night. And I'm tired. But you know what? We're not going to go to sleep. We're not going to be angry. We are going to communicate, get whatever it is out there, get it solved. We're going to go to sleep together. As a unit, as a team, because we're a team. That's the way I've always looked at it. Sylvie and I are a team, and it's us against you people. All of you. All of you. But that's number two. And number three, and this is going to be the caveat. Marriage is only hard if you are not with your best friend. And I'm going to explain this, okay? You hear people say all the time, marriage is hard. Marriage is the hardest thing you'll ever do. Marriage is this, marriage is that. You want to know something? I have been with Sylvie for a long time. And never once have I ever thought I could do better. I wish that I was with someone else. I wonder what else is out there. I might regret this. You know what I'm saying? Like all those thoughts, those intrusive thoughts that happen. I have never had one with Sylvie because Sylvie is my best friend. Sylvie is the one person in the world that I come home to every single day. And I don't care if I had a shit day. I don't care if it's been a day where I've been cussed out multiple times. I know as soon as I get home, I'm going to be embraced and kissed and babied if I need to be babied, fed, loved on, and Sylvie's going to make everything go away and I'm going to be good. Sylvie holds me down.
With a bat.
I was about to make a joke and I was like, you know what? No, I'm just going to keep it as a serious stuff. She holds me down in more than one way.
Oh my God.
she keeps me grounded. She's my best friend. And it has never, ever been hard for me to love her. Ever. It's never been a difficult situation. I'm more in love with her now than I ever was when we first started dating.
Yeah, that's good. I feel like the more emotionally vulnerable and intimate you can become with each other, the more you love each other. And if you're fully committed to your partner and they are to you, then God, like there's no telling how far the both of you could go together.
That's why I always, I love when you say, you can't be attracted to somebody unless you get to know them, on a very deep level, and you build that foundation first, because I think those are the kinds of relationships that last, where you are with your best friend and you never could picture yourself with anybody else. You know? So,
I don't know, like part of me feels lucky about that because of exactly what you said. Every now and then there's a smaller part of me that's like, well, I wish I could just be like just attracted to anybody, like walking down the street, because I don't know, like I have friends who tell me about like their sexcapades, and I'm like, oh, like lucky. I'm like, all right then.
It's been so long since I've had sex. I wonder if they've changed it.
Oh my God. Like, was there an update I didn't know about? Is there DLC now?
Yeah, that's funny. I love it. But yeah, I mean, that's the last thing I really have that I kind of wanted to put out there, and yeah, I think this was a good one.
Yeah, I agree. No, it's very good. I think you made a lot of really, really good points.
You did too. I feel like this is a very even-weighted discussion.
Yeah. And so, I don't know, I guess the only thing that I would tell people is no two people experience attraction and love the exact same way. So don't let other people's relationships or the media tell you how you should feel or what your relationship should look like.
Totally.
Obviously, you can take not inspiration. You can see what a healthy relationship looks like, and you can strive to have that. But your relationship is going to look different from somebody else's.
I do agree with that. Yeah, totally. Yes, and that is something I should have caveated. I'm sorry to interrupt you. That's something I should have caveated while I was saying all that stuff. Mine and Sylvie's relationship is not what yours has to look like. Let me say that this is not a cookie cutter type thing. you can have, as long as you have healthy communication, trust, and you're with your best friend, you can have a great relationship, regardless of who you're with.
Yes.
So I did kind of want to stop and say that, like, just because I don't have like certain issues with my relationship doesn't mean that you won't, or that you can't, or that you can, or this and that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The possibilities are endless. We're all human. We all have different quirks that make us different. So, yeah, I'm sorry. I did not mean to steal your thunder just now, but I feel like I needed to caveat that for what I was saying.
No, for sure. No, I absolutely agree. No, but yeah, it's just be an individual. You don't have to be cookie cutter. There's not a step-by-step process to get this specific kind of relationship and a different step-by-step process to get a different kind of relationship. As long as the both of you are happy and there's mutual respect for each other, great. As long as nobody is harming the other, as long as there is love and respect, that's all that matters.
Sure.
But don't go into a relationship looking for this other person to fix you. Don't go into a relationship expecting them to have all the answers, or them to be the source of your happiness. That won't work. That'll only make the both of you miserable.
Agreed.
But yeah, be the kind of partner that you want to have, I guess, is the best kind of
be genuine.
advice I could give.
Be
Yes.
genuine. And you know what? If you don't think that you can provide that for a partner, maybe you should decide to take some time and work on yourself.
Be
There's nothing
your own
wrong with
partner.
that. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Get to know yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, man.
But yeah, that's about all I got.
That's all I got too, my friend. So you want to go ahead and wrap her on up in a nice, pretty bow?
Sure, I could do that. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. You, and yes, you over there, for listening. And if you would like to catch more, then please go ahead and like and follow the Spotify, our podcast channel.
We got more
And-
episodes. They're free.
Yes, they are free. If you got, sometimes you're just taking a really long bathroom break and you just need some time to yourself. If you want to if you want to have somebody to keep you company while you're in there, you just turn on one of these. If you're at work, you want to listen to one of these. We got you, and there's always going to be more coming. But if you would like to follow the both of us individually, Foggy is on X, the Twitter.
Zitter. I like calling it Zitter. Come on, that old Zitter.
Yes, we are both on Zitter and on Twitch, and Foggy is at Foggy LeBeau on both of those, and on Twitter I am Morgan_Bean, and Twitch is Morgan Coffee Bean, and we hope to talk to you guys next time.
All right, yeah, awesome. Thank you guys so much for being here. Bye.
Bye.